Welcome teachers to another PBL support video where we try to understand PBLs and discuss the best ways to implement them for our learners. In this video, we'll look at grade 4 PBL, which is on the concept of professions for the chapter The Balloon Man. Here are the learning objectives and learning outcomes for the PBL. The objectives tell us what each activity is addressing, and then we have the learning outcomes, which tells us that the learners will be able to describe in English an event or a personal experience. The second learning outcome is that the learners will be able to enact and understand different roles based on different professions. Let us dive into the PBL itself. And like every other PBL, this PBL also begins with a leading question, which is, what will you ask an astronaut if you met one? This encourages the learner to think about the profession of an astronaut and makes them curious on what questions might they ask if they ever get an opportunity to meet an astronaut in real life. Here is the first activity. I can dash, then who am I? Here, the PBL provides statements made by different people along with various images. The learners have to read each statement, then match them to the relevant person in the images given based on the profession shown in that sentence. They will match all images with their statements by writing the number of the relevant statement on the matching image. Now we move to activity 2. Here, the activity gives statements that are sentences again said by different people in different situations. The learners must look at the sentences and images provided around the sentences, then see if they can identify which person in the image would have said which sentence based on the profession. The learners have to match all the images and the sentences based on and using their own understanding of different professions. Then the PBL takes us to the next activity, which is activity number 3. But because of a print error, the activity number says activity 4. We will continue to refer to this activity as activity 4. Here, there is another set of things said by people in the form of questions and sentences, followed by 2 columns that refer to 2 sets of people. The learners will cut out each speech bubble given above containing a question or a sentence using scissors and paste them under the correct column. Under the left column, if those questions or exclamations are said by parents, or on the right, if those are things said mostly by community helpers. Teachers, here is a quick note. You can even ask the learners if they know and understand who a community helper is. If they do not, try to get a collective understanding of what every other learner understands about community helpers, and let all learners understand that. Alternatively, provide a brief input about community helpers yourself. Then we reach the section of reading comprehension, where the learners read a story or a paragraph, understand it, and then attempt questions based on that story or paragraph. Allow the learners to read the given story on their own. If some learners are unable to read and understand it on their own, please read the story in appropriate intonation yourself. Like, Kavita and Rahul were excited for career day. They saw Srinivas's uncle, the dosa maker, wear a white coat. He pretended to be a doctor. At school, Raju Anna planted flowers. He explained he is a plant caretaker or a gardener. During the recess, a kind lady helped a lost student. She turned out to be a police officer. Near the lake, men in blue cleaned weeds, possibly lake protectors. Career Day showed Kavita and Rahul cool jobs in their town, like dosa maker, a gardener, police officer, and lake protector. Then come the questions, which you can allow the learners to answer on their own. These questions are designed in a way where the learners can answer them based on what they have read in the story above, which means answers to most of the questions here can be found inside the story given or inferred and answered based on the story given. Then we come to another important section of the PBL, which is the practice section, which helps all the learners to attempt answering to multiple choice based questions based on the concept of professions in this PBL, while still practicing skills like reading comprehension, thinking, inferring, and many more. Allow all learners to find answers to the questions and then mark that answer on the OMR sheet provided at the end of the PBL by marking a dark dot on the correct option with a black pen. Teachers, if you are curious to find answers to all the questions in the practice sheet, please find them in PBL solution documents on Teachopia.